Welcome back. With us now is Nicholas Ibarra, who is the winner of the Classic Physique Division Masters class at the Missouri State Championships. Nick knows what it takes to be a champion bodybuilder, but I've asked him to come in to bring some pro tips for the rest of us. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, so not all of us have this as a goal to be a bodybuilder, but I know you've got some tips for the rest of us. So, talk to me about if we want to improve our health, what are some basic things we need to start with?
Yeah, absolutely. What I like to say is there are some basic tips, 3 basic tips that we can always start with, and that's our nutrition, our sleep quality, and exercise. With regards to nutrition, we'll probably focus on that a little bit more here, but sleeping, we want at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep, and exercise, we want to do some sort of physical activity at least 3 to 5 times a week.
Now, how does it stack up, your nutrition compared to your exercise?
Absolutely. Well, one of the things I say is that we can get adequate sleep. We can be in the gym 6 or 7 days a week, but if we don't recognize that nutrition is 70% of the ball game, we are not going to see the progress that we want to see.
70%?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so if we're focusing then more on nutrition,
yes,
and we don't have just our whole time.
I always say that the first thing you want to do is calorie counting, and you want to be able to understand basic calorie counting, understand what you're typically getting into your body, and then once you have figured out what you're normally eating, the best way to lose weight would be to cut that back 400 to 500 calories. The best way to gain weight for more lean people that want to put weight on would be to add 400 to 500 calories a day.
Okay, and I see that you're breaking them down into macronutrients.
Yes.
We always call them macros. So
yes.
Is this kind of, obviously you have different plans for different people and different goals.
Absolutely.
But you have kind of just this blanket that might fit just someone walking in for
this
the
would
first
be
time.
Yes, this would absolutely be geared towards somebody that is what I consider a lifestyle client, somebody that has children, has a family, isn't looking to get on stage, and would like to just improve their general health and well-being. And so what I always say is, like we talked about, we want to start off with counting calories. And then we go into understanding that calories are made up of macronutrients, which are our proteins, our fats, and our carbs, or proteins, carbs, and fats. And what I always like to say that a good basic starting point is that 30% of our diet should be protein, 45% carbohydrates, and 25% fat. And then some examples of different types of proteins, carbs, and fats.
Now, when we talk about proteins, I admit that in the past, I have been way too reliant on protein shakes.
Yes.
And I see that that is not on your list.
It is not on my list. So this is what I say about protein shakes and supplements in general, is that supplements are there to supplement our diet. So if we're not able to get our protein intake in without protein shakes, for instance, then protein shakes are fine. And one example I give is a typical female. I would give her 130 grams, 120 grams to start with regards to protein. But a competitive bodybuilder that's a male, I'm going to give him 245 grams. And so that's more than, well, almost double the amount.
That's a lot of chicken.
Yeah, that's a lot of chicken. Or it's some chicken, some fish, some poultry, and probably a couple protein shakes a day. So protein shakes are absolutely fine. I have 2 a day myself, but no, I intentionally didn't include that.
Yeah, and then also the fats. That's another thing that I growing up, I don't know if it's a female thing or what, but I was always taught no fats, like eat 0 fat.
Yeah, and especially with females, I think fats are important, and for them to be semi-high in comparison to what we would typically think is healthy. With all people, it's going to be about brain function, hormone regulation, organ function, immune system function, but with females in particular, and in that 35 plus, the premenopausal, menopausal, postmenopausal parts of females' lives, fats are going to be more important because of the hormone function aspect of it.
Actually, that's kind of freeing for me to hear that. Yeah. It really is.
That doesn't mean that you go get a double cheeseburger after this, though.
Okay, so I'll stick with my avocado after this.
Okay, deal.
And then let's touch on carbs really quickly here. You have some fruits and veggies, but fruits, they have a lot of sugar, but they're still okay?
They absolutely do. And so, not to get into too much detail, but there's a glycemic index that basically lets us understand what different food or how different foods impact our insulin sensitivity, our insulin levels. And there are fruits that are high glycemic index carbs and low glycemic index carbs. And so it's a matter of picking the right fruits, the right veggies, and the right grains.
And sometimes we need a coach to help us with that.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're almost out of time, so let me
Yes.
ask you some common questions that I know that people will ask you. First of all, if you want to make progress with your fitness, do they have to skip out on social events? Like if they can't devote their entire day to this, can you?
No, absolutely not. I think the biggest fault that people have is that they will do really good for a month or two, and then they'll have a birthday party or a wedding, and then they eat, eat cake, eat pasta, eat whatever they eat, and then decide that they've destroyed their progress, so they're just going to give up. The goal is to have your fun, but get back on track the next day.
Alcohol, yes or no?
Preferably not, because that's also going to affect hormones,
Okay.
but the less the better, but it's not, that's a personal choice.
And also patience. I know you told me
And
patience.
patience. Patience is absolutely the name of the game. I've been doing
Okay.
this for 15, 17 years at this point, and patience is my best friend in it.
Nick, thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
What's your
much.
website? So if anyone wants to look.
www.ift180.com.
Perfect. Thank you
Thank you.
for this. I appreciate it. All right, Ozarks Live will be right back.